One last thing. Dominique666 said, poems don't have to rhyme, Mr. Copper. You don't really believe that. Well, let's just give a possible occasion where a poem would not rhyme. And that would be a poem that has all kinds of, either it has echo, or meter, or rhythm, but it has no rhyme whatsoever. None at all. No, it's not a poem. It is not a poem. If it's just got echo and rhythm, then we would call it poetic. Yeah, we'd call it poetic. But there's something that distinguishes a poem, and it is not, unlike this author thinks, the distinction of a poem from prose is not just that you press the enter key. It's more than that. A poem has an essence to it. A poem has something that separates it from everything else in the universe. No other things in the universe are allowed to partake of exactly that essential quality. Otherwise they become a poem. And if they don't partake of that essential quality, they fail to be a poem. Now that quality is the quality of music. And if it's just music of rhythm and beat and stuff, then you would call it poetic. You would say that sounds nice or different or something, but you wouldn't call it a poem. There does have to be an essence to everything. Everything has an essence, if it exists. What is the essence of poetry for an author who does this to make their poem occur? Or how about that one by E. E. Cummings? Out of poems children will sit still for. What is the essence of poetry for that silly, silly man? Who knows if the moon's a balloon coming out of a keen city in the sky filled with pretty people? That makes my skin crawl. He puts it in, I'm breaking it, and you hear these rhymes come in, but you can't stop. You've got to go to the end of the line, unless you do stop, but you're not supposed to stop because poems don't have to rhyme. This is not a poem in spite of its rhyme. It is nihilism. So, it is not the case that it has to rhyme to be a poem, but, because look at the fact that some things rhyme and are not poetry. They're destructive, crass stuff on paper. That doesn't qualify as a poem. E. E. Cummings' little piece of crap about the moon there. That is nihilism. It's no more a poem than Mein Kampf was an autobiography. Poems have to rhyme, and if they fail to rhyme, they can be poetic. They can have qualities of poetry. The essence of poetry is a musical, or sound. The sound, the interplay between the meaning and the words. Now in prose, you just have the meaning, right? In prose, you have one thread to keep track of while you're reading. Just the meaning of the words. But in poetry, there are two threads. There's the meaning and the sound of the words. Two threads allows much more intertwining and weaving. Now as proof that I'm not against metaphor, let's just take that metaphor a little ways. Where prose is a single thread, poetry is so rich it can weave cloth. But not if you don't have both of the threads there. You have to have the meaning and the music. Otherwise, it does not qualify as poetry.